Across thousands of job sites, workers and machines are generating a constant stream of data every day, every hour, every task. What was once brushed off as noise is now being seen as one of the construction industry's greatest assets. The question is no longer if we should use data, it's how we unlock its power to optimize operations, drive performance, and bring the field and office closer than ever before. Today, we explore how the industry is rising to meet this challenge and what the future holds when data becomes the backbone of every build. I'd like to introduce my guests now, a fantastic panel. From Trimble, we have Elwyn McLaughlin, Vice President, Product and Strategy. From Topcon, Frederic Eklund, Head of Product Platform. From Caterpillar, Kristen Gaskill, Director of Business Development for Autonomy and Automation. And from John Deere, Jonathan Spendlove, Manager, Precision Construction. Welcome, all of you. Now, I think we'll start with the state of the site today. Elwyn, if we could start with you. How do you think adoption of construction tech has changed in the past 5 years?
Thanks, Nadir. It's great to be here and to be with you all. I think the last 5 to 10 years have really seen an explosion of technology adoption on the job site. I have the benefit of spending a number of years across Trimble working in different divisions, and I left the construction division at Trimble about 15 years ago and came back more recently. And to me, that time away really demonstrated that big step function change that I saw in terms of what before was, I would say, reluctant adoption of technology. Construction companies really saying, oh, that stuff's complicated. I don't know if I can support that. I don't know if my workers want that on the job site, and really have seen the change of that in the last 5 years as the return on investment is just so obvious, so in your face. Like, construction companies cannot afford to not be in technology these days.
And that's kind of common across all industries. Frederic, have you got an opinion about this reluctance for adoption?
Well, I think just to tie on to what Elwyn has been saying, there is that, I mean, it's not a question of if you should be adopting technology. It's more a question of what technology you need to adopt. And I mean, there is a flora you can pick between. And I think it's also important to understand. I mean, when we talk about construction is quite broad. It can be anything from earth moving construction, anything from, let's say, the road construction work site, and they're very, very different, and they come with very different technologies. And of course, there's going to be some areas or some let's say aspects of construction which are more prone in jumping on and adopting technology earlier. But I think we're seeing it across the board that it's not a question of if you should adopt technology. It's just a question of what technology I should adopt, and there's the multiple questions you can answer there, or what's going to weigh into what technology you're going to be adopting. Is it what in the end do I want to see as an end result? What is it that I'm caring about? If that's not being safety or productivity or whatever it would be, or just being able to track data and track progress, and of course what investment I'm willing to do.
Kristen, what are your thoughts about the changes over the last 5 years?
I mean, speaking with customers across the industry, our strategy is really to understand what are their toughest challenges. And along the lines what Frederic was just saying, typically customers bring challenges around productivity, safety, and labor, and looking for solutions that can help to support closing those gaps. So as we talk with customers, we're really looking to how can we simplify things for them, not just on one machine, but across their site, and really understanding what's going on within their workflow. And so as Caterpillar's become really committed to understanding the workflow, we understand that customers have choices throughout the workflow. And within those choices, how can we be easiest for them to do business with? We really want to make sure that as they have their ecosystem that they're operating in, that our ecosystem matches up well, and that we can give them the flexibility that they need, not just to run the job site, but to run the back office as well.
And Jonathan, finally, with our opening question, how do you think the adoption of construction tech has changed in the last 5 years?
Yeah, thanks, Nadir. One, I think, there are a lot more opportunities. The way that we break it down, we think about technology on the machine, situational awareness, grade management, how can we make our machines the best that they can be for the operator and for the owner of that machine? And then we think about, similar to what Kristen was saying, how can we partner with other elements of a customer's job or business, so that we can work well with Topcon, with Trimble, with others, right? In on behalf of that customer. And then finally, how can we help them in the back office, right? And so I think you've seen over the last 5 years, 10 years, a lot of technology come into each of those areas, right? On machine, back office, areas where machine companies like Deere and Caterpillar can work with the Trimbles and Topcons of the world to drive a lot of value into the industry. And so there's just a lot of opportunity that has presented itself over the last 5 years.
Thank you for that, Jonathan, and all of you for that overview, really, about the adoption of construction tech over the last 5 years. Frederick, I'm going to move to you now. How critical do you think data and digital workflows are to the job site today?
Oh, I think they are a necessity. I mean, in the end of the day, I mean, collection of data is only going to be as good if it's isolated. I mean, it's about creating a flow where, I mean, the data has a purpose. We're not just collecting it for the sake of collecting it. We're collecting it to solve a task, solve a problem, or getting deeper insight into how I can, if that now, once again, we can take the safety, productivity, or whatever other aspect it would be. I mean, the data is there to support an end goal within each and every one of those aspects, and creating a workflow where the data is a moving piece, where it's being collected in the field, or even it could be that we start off in the office, it have an impact in the field, and then it's being collected in the field, and then it needs to move back again to the office. That is enabled through workflows. And then, of course, we can always question, okay, should that be workflows established all by one vendor, by one full solution, an end-to-end solution, or is it a mixture of solutions? We need to shake hands and data need to be carried over between, let's say, one solution to another. But yeah, no matter what, we can say that workflows are a key function to get to achieve the end goal.
Kristen, off the
Deere,
back of what Frederick is saying. Oh, yes, of course. Elwyn, do you want to jump in?
Yes, I wanted to say, to add to that, last year the Trimble team spent a lot of time out on job sites, spending time observing really and talking to our customers, our civil contractor customers, about the work they do and seeing what some of the challenges are on site. And one of the things our team really commented on and really surfaced in that study that we did was how prevalent the phone is, the cell phone, our favorite tool, for communicating issues, for communicating updates, for reporting back to the back office. And I think for me, the reason that's such a valuable observation is what it tells me is that there is a lot of information, a lot of data, as you asked the question, that isn't being captured, right? A lot of hearsay, if you will, a lot of opportunity for miscommunication. And I think for me, that's where I wanted to emphasize the criticality of digital workflows. It's not just because, we're technology companies and we love whiz-bang things. It's because when we're not capturing the meat of that conversation, the data around that conversation, that is lost information, and it is potential for mistakes to happen, or miscommunication or misunderstanding to happen, right? I mean, I'm as guilty as the rest of you. I take a phone call, I take a note and on a piece of paper that says I'm going to follow up on that later, and then I lose that piece of paper and I forget to do that follow-up, right? That is happening on construction sites all the time. And there is so much opportunity. There are so many tools that are available. And I know that for a construction company, it might be overwhelming to try and figure out which of these tools, which of these solutions, technology solutions meet their need. But I really want to implore people to go look for those tools that capture that digital information so that it can be shared across the project stakeholders, so that it can be queried, so that you have an audit trail about the decisions that were taken on the job site and what the results of those decisions were.
Kristen, given the explanation that Elwyn's given about capturing that essential digital data, and Frederick as well, talking about how critical it is, how quickly are contractors adopting the use of technology to further enhance their operations from your perspective?
Yeah, we have absolutely seen tech not just be an early adopter trend. I mean, this is really what's driving performance on the job site today. So as we see customers really shifting to technology as standard, they've asked us for more integrated offerings from the factory. So not just looking for aftermarket solutions to fit up on a site as needed, but they really start to put standards in place across their fleets. So as we've worked more to provide factory solutions to the customers, we're seeing the take rates grow at scale. So from a large contractor standpoint, they're really deliberate in that. And as we talk about the data around the site, they have some really sophisticated structures in place, and across that workflow, key roles are looking at different points of data and they're driving continuous improvement off of it. From a smaller contractor standpoint, they're looking at how does it bring speed to their job site where they might not have had it before. From a labor standpoint, really technology has helped to bring unskilled labor to have better skills coming into the job site, which is a great thing, not just for speed on the job site, but also for contractors to have retention and be able to move operators through their job site quicker, building skills faster with the support of technology. So really, it's as customers experience the value from tech, you start to see it expand more rapidly, and you hear more word of mouth that is driving it as contractors talk with each other and share the use cases that they have within their job site and how they are able to do things faster with speed, putting dollars and cents to it. Other contractors have started to pick it up as well.
Jonathan, I'm going to move on to you now. What, in your view, are the most successful strategies for building company-wide buy-in and overcoming resistance to new processes among field and office teams? Because there is resistance, isn't there?
I think a couple things. One, as much as you can automate a process or a workflow, I think there's an enormous value in that. So when you think about to what Ellen was saying, a lot of the conversations or the data that gets created outside of an automated process that can get lost, right? So you think about how many operators clock in for the day and record what they did, it's on paper time cards. And so if that, if you can automate that, that creates a lot more buy-in. If you can actually take work off of the plate of somebody that has to do something today, that is going to create a lot of buy-in. So that's one piece how you get buy-in. I think another piece would be making it something that can be fleet wide. You look at this phone call, we're from 4 different companies and we're all trying to serve the customer, and they need tools that can work well across their entire fleet. And so if it's something that's going to be siloed into one OEM or into one technology provider, it's going to be, I think, harder to get buy-in from that owner, that fleet manager, because they need a solution that's going to work across their whole fleet. So automated, mixed fleet, those are a couple of the things that I would point to as ways to get more buy-in.
Just to tie on to Jonathan there, if I'm allowed to just jump in. I think you're absolutely right. I think, of course, you're speaking from a perspective of an OEM, which is delivering multiple different solutions. I can also speak from, let's say, an aftermarket provider that's providing a lot of aftermarket solutions, which maybe somewhat, they are tying together making a workflow. What I think is also important is that there need to be an incentive to both the operators as well as like the different stakeholders along the way, that in not seeing the technology as a risk or seeing it as something bad, it needs to be something that is helping you. There's a benefit for also the operator in the end of the day to use it, because we know that there are some operators out there which are very skillful people, and they might be saying that I don't need that. No, but there are benefits for you to use it anyway. It's not about if you can fine grade and do that all in manual. By putting it in automatics, it might give you a more relaxed working day. You can also rely on that you get a certain consistency. It's not just in the first 5 hours of the working day when you're on peak, and then we'll start seeing the performance slanting as the day gets longer and you become more tired. With these tools, you can also, they're benefit for you as the operator as well as throughout the whole company. Create better products in the end of the day. And when I say product, that's what the contractors are making in forms of better products, better results in the field.
I think one thing I can add to that, Frederick, is actually when owners invest in tech, what they're asking us for is more visibility to the usage of it. So within the job site, where are there operators that might have a challenge leveraging the tech or not leveraging it after an investment's been made? and being able to go back and understand why and also put productivity rates to it. So as features come into the machines and start to get put to use, understanding the impact of what it's meant. You talked about being tired at the end of the day. I mean, there's physical benefits to having that support for an operator on the site, but also to be able to benchmark and help get better. I mean, that's really what we hear owners talking about is how do we help our people get better, be more productive, feel more valuable at work with the support of tech. Give us data and insights on that so that we can coach and work with our teams.
No, so I mean, I can just give us an example. We had a customer in Norway that did a quite big investment in machine control, and to get the operators on board. In the end of the day, what they did a monthly follow-up to just prove here's our performer number. Like we are increasing our performance by using this. And I think that's an important conversation to have, especially if you want to get a company-wide adoption of it, to really buy in and also start looking into create that hunger and what else can we do? What are the other solutions we can implement in our company to make those workflows, to make it even better? Because it's really about, I mean, driving a culture. That's the best way to see adoption, I think.
Deere, I had one funny story I wanted to share about to the question of successful strategies for building company-wide buy-in. That was a customer of ours who I was speaking to a year or so ago, who was rolling out a new tool, a new software system for sharing digital designs on the job site, really trying to get rid of some of the paper copies of designs that float around on the job site that if they're out of date, and continue to be used, they create mistakes and rework. And so this contractor was telling me their strategy for buy-in was to buy a fancy coffee machine and put it right next to the computer that was running the new digital design system. And she said, you'd be amazed how much more popular my new digital design system became once the workers on the site realized they could get a great cup of coffee if they took a look at the design.
Absolute winner every time. Free coffee. And good coffee. Elvin, we were talking about benefits, obviously, and beyond the basic reporting. What do you think is the single most effective strategy for civil contractors to transform raw site data into actionable business intelligence that directly impacts project margins and proves ROI?
Yeah, I wanted to pick up on what Jonathan said before about how much of the information that is still captured from the job site is paper forms, time cards and foreman reports and so on. And I think what we hear from contractors is they have this challenge that often understanding how the job is performing is like a month in arrears, right? Like at the end of the month when you can do a true up in your financial system and you can see how the job is performing, that's in the rearview mirror a month in arrears. That's too late to make decisions about changing how you're executing the job. And so at Trimble, we're really driving to how do we unlock that data? And we love to say real time, but it's not really real time. It's really daily kind of reports or weekly quality reports that help the contractor understand whether the plan they made for this job, whether it's the production rates they were targeting on an earth moving job or a paving job, whether they're meeting those targets. And if not, how can they change that plan to bring it back into line, right? And so really looking at, am I meeting with the group of equipment I have, with the crews I have working on the site, am I meeting the production targets that I bid this job on? Therefore, am I expecting this job to be profitable in line with how I bid it? Or do I need to make a change to that plan? And contractors are increasingly, some of our more progressive contractors are really doing things like flying drones daily at the start of a job to get that, to calibrate that production data, and then making those tweaks and those changes to the plan. And that kind of ability to plan, to measure very quickly the results of that plan, and then adjust the plan are really where we see a massive benefits in efficiency and just visibility as well, right? Understanding how the job is performing, understanding how the company is performing.
Kristen, in the context of site data, how do you think solutions such as imagery from drones and production data from machines help construction companies manage production of the job site?
I mean, it's all about progress and performance really working together. So being able to adjust and make informed decisions in real time help to drive the right sequencing across the job, the right resource decisions to the job. I mean, we have a platform called VisionLink that really brings that back office visibility to multiple roles within the company. And as you bring the right data and reporting to progress within the job, different roles can make different informed decisions. And I think even as you're able to see spots where there's slower progress, understanding the root cause around it, being able to use the tools in the back office to help support the site, keeping pace and moving forward is really key. And one of the things that customers have told us is, even just performance between different machines on a site, helping to understand the things that are impacting one machine to another. Part of it can be you implement tech into a site and an operator just might not be as familiar with it. We might do a design file update instead of sending somebody out to the machine to be able to plug up and transfer that file. We can now run that from the back office and bring speed to make those adjustments in real time, and also being able to in the back office, look at the operator's screen and understand what are they seeing, what's slowing them up, how do we help to make them more informed and more effective, can bring speed to the job site as well. So it's really about using the data to understand what's the performance of the site and then make those adjustments. It might be adding resources to the site. It might be helping to make the resources on the site more effective.
Let's move on to interoperability, because there's a huge discussion to be had here, which we're going to have now. Frederick, you are all involved in AEM's Worksite Data Exchange Working Group to foster collaboration around the ISO standard. What is the ISO standard? That's the first question.
Yeah, that's a question that comes with a bit of a background story, I would say. So when we talk about an ISO standard, I mean, first of all, ISO is just a framework, kind of a collaborative work platform to standardize on a global scale. But the ISO standard that we're referring to is the 15143-4, which is kind of, there is a -1 and a -2 and a -3. The -3 some users are maybe aware of. That's what we're using for telematics information, to be able to share telematics between multiple vendors, so that you can, in one platform, can see telematics data coming from multiple pieces of equipment, and depending on what the manufacturer are. The -4 is kind of the same concept, but for worksite data. So as we're seeing a high adoption of machine control and other, let's say, digital tools on the work site, it's really a standard that allows you to create a seamless data exchange between multiple vendors, that you can drop in design data in one platform and you can receive it on a machine or a survey controller of a different brand. So, and the same thing goes for productivity data, that you can, in this case, create productivity data in a standardized format and send that back again, so that you in one source can interact with that data and get a full vision, let's say, visualize the work site at the current state.
Maybe Nadira, if I can give a couple, if I can give a couple of examples of where I think this is valuable or helpful. You could think of a subcontractor that wants to work on many different jobs and wants to bid on many different jobs. Well, the GC may use a different type of technology on different sites, and that, if you have a standard that allows that sub to bid on any job where any of the technology platforms are being used, that's going to provide more value to the industry overall. It's going to provide more value to the GC because he's going to get more subs bidding. It's going to provide more value to the sub because he's going to bid more jobs. So having interoperability is very helpful for that, for that situation. Also, we're in an era of you have some folks exiting the industry of earth moving, for example, and you have others that are consolidating and maybe acquiring that fleet of equipment, that fleet of technology. And that's a trend that's certainly going on in the US. And the challenges of acquiring a fleet of equipment from, say, another business that is a completely different technology set than your own, you could be losing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars of technology there if there's not interoperability. And so those are two examples of where interoperability is very important for our customer base and for the industry.
And I think sorry.
Go for it.
Oh, sorry. I was not meaning to take your take your space there, Kirsten. But I think it's just important to mention when it comes to these standards as well, is that what we're really talking about is primarily a cloud-to-cloud standard. So in the same way as we talk about telematics information, it's about being able to take this data or interact with, in the end of the day, the end consumer, which would be in this case the machine control system or service system or whatever it will be out in the field, but you're doing that through the cloud. So, which is also ties in with our previous discussions that we've had as a group. We're talking about what are the values that we're hearing our contractors want to, like how to see better results. Well, it's about increased frequency, is about let's say improving workflows so that you don't have these manual workflows. Well, that comes through connectivity. So it's really a standard to also push for connectivity on the work site. We're going to see great benefits by having these let's say standards, but they're all depending on that increase connectivity and by that improve workflows and improve digitalization.
How will standards such as the ISO standard help contractors new to technology adoption? And will it reduce barriers of entry? And how will this standard help contractors who've already adopted?
Well, overall, when there's standards, friction for customers are reduced. And so as you talk about customers that are working across multiple systems and brands, mixed technology, mixed fleets are really the norm in construction today. So as we look at customers trying to adopt and scale technology, having a standard helps to reduce that friction on the site and also in the back office as well. So as we at Caterpillar have looked at this, we talked about how this standard that we're talking about today is really focused on cloud-to-cloud data exchange. But for us, it really starts back at the factory, helping to simplify our radio strategy and make it easier for customers to buy machines and let it interact with their site infrastructure that they have today, whether it be Trimble, Topcon, or Leica-based stations. We've had to look at how do our design files, really how do we need to structure that support to make it flexible for customers and the way that they work. And so as we really shift the focus from just machine hardware integration to job site outcomes, we have to reduce friction for customers in the back office as well. So as we see new adoption, customers are picking up their fleets where they are. So they might have some aftermarket solution, they might have some integrated machine solution. And we need to make sure that our new tech that we bring out fits within the customer's fleet. So has to be able to integrate, has to be able to be easy for customers, or it drives challenge to adoption. We don't want customers to have to rip and replace decisions that are made within their fleet or within an asset they pick up if it's used based on their purchase timing now. So as we look at adoption, it has to be scalable and it has to be flexible based on customer to customer fleet decisions.
Jonathan, given what Kristen has just said, how will additional interoperability between different types of technology transform the site, and how will it transform the office?
I think that, the transfer of grade files, for example, making that more seamless. And I think Kristen mentioned, we have a tool, wireless data transfer, that similarly you can transfer a file directly to your machine. As you get more interoperability between OEMs, technology partners, to make that easy for folks, to make it easy for them independent of which technology they have on machine, whether it's aftermarket from the factory, Trimble, Topcon, Leica, whatever the case may be, Cat, Deere, that helps our customers, that helps them grow their business, that helps them buy more machines, buy more technology because it's easy to use. And I think that frankly helps all of us. So I think that's where I'd go is, these topics of interoperability, we all want to protect areas of our, of our business where, product development is important, right? But certainly growing the industry overall, helping our customers overall is going to benefit all of us. And that's where I think interoperability has a place to play.
Alwyn, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, thanks, Nadira. Very specifically, in picking up on what Jonathan said on that topic, I think it's really about enabling the industry to scale with technology adoption. And we talked before about some of the challenges of adopting technology on job sites, and this stuff is complicated, right? The machine control systems, the drones, the rovers. There's a lot of tech available, and the standard for me is more than anything about that ability to scale with the technology. At Trimble, we have customers now who run fleets of over 100, 200 machine control systems. And if you think about the back office staff who are responsible for keeping those machines running, keeping the right design data and the right SAC calibrations and the right correction streams out to those machines, supporting those on-site users, right? Like when you get that phone call that says, I don't understand, or this doesn't work, the standard is very much about creating tools that simplify that ability to support those customers in the field and really unlock the power of that technology.
So I mean, personally, I've been very active in the ISO group, not necessarily contributing with all of the technical details, because we have experts to do that, but I've been coming with a lot of opinions. And I mean, what I'm seeing when it comes to, let's say, additional interoperability is that this is just the beginning. And what we're seeing is that, okay, you give someone a finger and soon they want to have the whole hand, and you give them the hand and soon they want to have the whole arm. And I think we're going to see that this is going to drive different needs. It's going to be, I mean, the first question that we got was, okay, well, how do we solve the problem in Europe with we need to have a carbon footprint? Oh yeah, so we need to get fuel economy from the machines now, and we need to have it in a higher frequency than what we got from the telematics information, because the telematics stream was not frequent enough. So we start seeing that one thing start driving another, and it's all based on customer needs. It's all based on the customer want to be more accurate, be more precise, because if you can be more precise, that means that you can achieve higher progress. And progress is what's going to push the needle, and that's what they need to do. And we're all the ones benefiting from it, right? I mean, we're all going to be driving on those roads, and we're all going to be visiting those houses and hopefully not using those hospitals, but we need them anyway. So I think it's what I'm seeing, at least from an interoperability perspective, is that this is just a start, and by giving now this first step, we're going to see that's going to create the additional needed steps.
And simply put, Frederick, people just wanting more and more and more kind of human nature, isn't it?
It is.
If we look ahead now as to what's going to happen next, or what we think is going to happen next, Frederick, how do you see construction tech evolving next?
Oh, it's a big question. I mean, we've been touching some of it already when it comes to workflows, right? So I think there's going to be a big need for improved workflows. We're also going to see that, let's say, some of the workflows that's being used today, if we can take it's all depending on market as well. But let's now say if we take Scandinavia, where I am, I'm Swedish, so I live in Sweden. What we're seeing as form of workflow is that they are recording the what they do in the field using the machines, right? And it's not in forms of taking blade mapping or just doing, say, volume calculations. What they actually do is that they do surveying with the machine. So they're putting down the bucket, or because it's primarily excavators in this case, they're putting down the bucket and they are taking a topo shot, as we call it, which is like a geographical location. They give a coordinate to where that bucket is. And what they're practically doing is that they're recording, okay, that could be the bottom of the trench, it could be the top of the pipe, it could be the connection points of every pipe, or it can be the manhole. And they practically do a survey using the machine to provide as an as-built that this is where the infrastructure that we now, after all we backfill, everything is gone and there is now street. Where is those pipes, so that we don't hit them again when we need to do some repairs. What I think we're going to see when it comes to construction is that there's going to be now an increased need of collecting more mass data, that maybe that topo shot is not going to cut it anymore, because the next thing is going to be that, okay, connected with that coordinates, they want to have a picture of how it looked before they backfilled it. And the next thing is going to be that they want to be able to take a measurement between the 2 points, or they want to be able to have a more rich data to go from. So I think, at least my perspective and Topcon's, is that we see there's going to be a big drive for mass data also down into earth moving construction, both in forms of be able to get more precise progress tracking in forms of volumes and whatever else it would be for the big mass jobs, but also just from data collection and as-built collection of what have you constructed in the end of the day.
I'd love to
Jonathan,
jump onto that, Deere, because I don't feel like you can talk about the next evolution in construction tech without talking about AI. And it's a really good pickup from everything that Fred just said. Obviously, we're all kind of coming to realize the potential of AI to really dig into our data. So let's talk about that data and unlock the real understanding of what is happening on the job site, right? Whether it's how the operator is performing the task, whether it's how the job is running overall, whether it's understanding what problems are occurring, what safety issues are occurring on job sites. That ability to unlock that data and apply AI techniques to it to really help the contractor to really up-level construction, right? To really up-level our understanding and make that data so much easier to consume. If I think back again, look back in the rearview mirror about where we've been and where we've come from, it's very much about being able to describe what happened on the site yesterday, last week, last month. The power of bringing this data together, just so much more data, as Fred talked about, and the potential of the tools that are out there to collect more data out the site, and then layering AI on top of that to really get into that more kind of what I call predictive and prescriptive mode. If I can mine that historical data about what happened on this job or other jobs that are like this in my business that I've performed in the past, then the potential exists to really predict what might happen next, right? And then you layer on things like the weather. When we talk about construction, you can't not talk about the variable that is the weather. Now, if the unlocking the data and applying the AI intelligence on top of that helps me say, I can see a rainstorm's coming in based on similar soil conditions and other jobs at other stages. What actions should I take to prevent that rainstorm from bringing my job to a halt, right? How do I react proactively to that potential? And I think, for me, I can't imagine, it's an exciting time to be in construction with that ability to unlock the data, which the ISO standard is really helping us to do, and then apply AI tools to that data. It's going to be super interesting to see what's possible in the coming years.
Just to tag on to that, what we see is the base technology is really becoming standard. So if you liken it back to what you experience in your personal life with the automotive industry, we just come to expect that the tech is there and start to integrate it into our lives. I put my car in reverse and I don't look behind it anymore. I look at the camera, which gives me a 360 view of what's around me. And so as you think about the industry, we're really seeing tech coming on as standard, which to Owen's point means more data coming off of the machines. It also means more features in the cab that the operator can use. So from an AI standpoint, it's about making the data easier to use so you can make adjustments, be more proactive, in more real-time kind of usage. But also within the cab, we look at ease of use opportunities for operators. And we have a new offering that we're working on within CAT called the AI Assistant. It's an in-cab feature which will help operators really maximize what they have on board. So it's back office support, but also making it easier to use what's available within the cab of that machine. And then as we think about the future, we're really looking to evolve into autonomy. And autonomy's here, it's in construction today. So whether that job site is tied to a quarry, tied to a landfill, tied to a heavy civil job, the challenges of productivity, of safety, of labor, all come together and start to funnel us towards autonomy. So that's really where we see the evolution going next. And all this base data that's coming on the machine helps us perform better today, but it really pushes us into that next frontier that autonomy brings to us.
Thank you, Kristen. Jonathan, where do you see the evolution going next? Do you expect to see other areas where workflows may streamline given the evolving use of data and digital delivery between the office and site?
Yeah. Maybe just piggybacking on Kristen's point about autonomy, I think that is where a lot of this goes, perception systems are developing to be very successful at identifying what is it that's around me, stop or don't stop, continue working, etc. So, you have perception, material management, machine control from the things we've been talking about with grade management, connectivity. Satellite connectivity is pretty ubiquitous now and easily accessible to our customers. So being able to run autonomously anywhere is going to become more open, and the data is what drives that, right? The data about what's happening around you is what drives that. I think you will see more automated workflows. We mentioned before taking friction out of the process for our customers. We are racing to do that. Deere is very proactively trying to help our customers be more efficient and have less friction in their operational workflows, in their production, in their fleet and asset management. For anybody that's going to Con Expo, you'll see a lot about that there as well. So, we have a lot of focus on reducing friction, making data easily accessible to anybody in the enterprise. And again, I think the end result to a lot of this is autonomy, and an autonomous system that is what the industry needs. A lot of people think about autonomy as a threat to labor or whatever the case may be, but our customers are asking for this. They need this. We have labor shortages all over the place, and earth moving is no outlier on that, right? Or if it is an outlier, it's an outlier in that it's harder to get labor in earth moving than in any other industry. And so autonomy is going to become a necessity. Interoperability becomes even more important as you go into that space, right? So I think those are some areas where this is taking us.
Kristen, what's one thing contractors should be doing with their site data that they're currently not doing? I think this is really important, actually, to get more perspective on what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of mentioned it as we've answered the other questions, that it's really about moving from reactive to proactive and being able to make those adjustments on the site, driving the outcomes while you can still change them. So I think it's really about having, I think small, mid-sized contractors really start using more consistently to help frame up different decisions and adjustments that they can make along the way. Advanced users really shifting, like I said earlier, from reactive to proactive and integrating the data into their workflow that can drive execution. And as we talk within the industry, looking at things like data centers, we have a massive boom right now due to AI driving data center construction, and that's all about speed. Getting those jobs completed faster is really built on precision, and precision is only valuable if you have a safe job site that you're running. So it's all those data points coming together help customers be more effective within the new requirements that we're seeing as we have different sorts of booms and demand happening within the industry, helping them to make adjustments. So what they should be doing with the site data is using it and using it consistently.
I just wanted to say, and maybe it's just really to echo what Kristen said, if I think there's one thing contractors should be doing with their site data, it's unlock it, share it with the other stakeholders.
Yes.
Right? We come from this legacy, I think, of having these fairly complex tools and systems so that experts are the people who have to go and interrogate that data and generate and share reports. That's no longer the world we live in. The tools now are easy enough to share that data with project stakeholders so that everybody can make better data-informed decisions. And so we say democratize the data, let the people have access to the data, and good things will happen.
Thank you. And I think, can you believe it? We've been talking for quite a while now, so we're really coming to the end of the discussion. I'd love to hear your final thoughts after this discussion, and we'll start with you, Frederick.
Oh, wow. My final thoughts on this discussion or this topic in general about interoperability and workflows and data. I think, to tie on to what Elvin was just saying, sound like she was kicking off a little revolution there, and sign me up. You get my signature on that plaque. But yeah, I think it's even though we're talking about, let's say, the future and what we want to do, and that the future is coming, and a lot of things have happened in the past 5 years. The reality is still, though, as I'm comes my tie on to Elvin, is that there's still a lot of USB keys being passed around on the construction site, and to see the great benefits of what the technology can do, that need to stop, and it need to be more connected, and it need to be more in the now. It need to be high frequency, it need to be continuously updating, and it need to be live. And then of course it need to be shared as well, because that's where you're going to see the real benefits, when you're taking multiple data sources, putting them together, so that you don't just looking at how many cubes I moved. You can actually say how many cubes did I move, with what machines did I do it, at what material did I do it, and how many liters of fuel, or gallons in this case, of fuel did I burn doing it, and here's my carbon footprint that goes with it. And that's the future we're going towards. It's just, there's a couple of steps going there, but it's going rapidly. So it's definitely interesting times that we're in, and it's a pleasure to be part of this industry.
Kristen.
It was great to hear perspectives from everyone in this call. It's really customer back, what we're all talking about, and working together, partnering together to be able to reduce friction on a job site. If we can do that, and that's really what the standard is all about. If we can do that and do it well, we'll have more effective job sites overall. Again, really looking to address those challenges of productivity, safety, and labor. And that's really what the standard helps to do, is to chip away at the challenges customers see in those spaces every day.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I think, reducing friction for customers around technology is going to bring more of them into technology. That's going to make us all better. It's going to make us all happier. I think it's going to make them more and more productive. It's going to get them more jobs, and it's a virtuous cycle, right? So interoperability is at the heart of that virtuous cycle. And we're happy to be a part of it, and excited for the future.
And last but not least, with the final word, Elwin.
Well, thanks, Videra, and thanks for bringing us together for this conversation. It's been a lot of fun and super interesting to hear the perspectives. Like Jonathan, we're really excited about the potential of the new ISO standard, the -4 standard, to really provide more access and make it easier for contractors to run jobs, right? As Jonathan said, as Kristen said, it's really about reducing friction. I think we know, we talk to these customers every day. There is still a lot of inefficiency in civil construction and earth moving operations. And I think the more the technology can be deployed that helps unlock the understanding of how the jobs are performing, how operators are performing, how machines are performing, it really gives us all an opportunity to make this industry better. And I'm certainly excited to be part of that.
Well, I must say, it's been fantastic to get you together. What a team of guests we've had. Topcon, Frederick Eklund, Head of Product Platform from Caterpillar, Kristen Gaskill, Director of Business Development for Autonomy and Automation. From John Deere, Jonathan Spendlove, Manager, Precision Construction, and from Trimble, Elwin McLaughlin, Vice President, Product and Strategy. And the demand to use data on the job site isn't a trend, it's a transformation. From real-time insights on the field to strategic decisions in the office, data is unlocking new levels of performance and accountability. The industry is evolving, not just in how we collect data, but in how we act on it. And the organizations that embrace this shift won't just stay competitive, they'll lead. The future of the job site and the office is connected, intelligent, and driven by data. The question is, are you ready for it?